2022 was a dream year for Red Bull, with them winning both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships whilst dominating them. The RB19 was the first car within the brand new regulations, which saw the cars change massively, and it was the start of a new era in Formula 1. So for Red Bull to come into the season and put a huge market out and show every other team in the paddock that they mean business in this area. 2021 ended controversially, but Red Bull massively benefited from this as they took home their first Drivers' Championship since 2013, ending that era of Formula 1 in style. Many people predicted that Red Bull would not be in the title picture due to them putting a lot of focus on winning the 2021 championship. However, this was far from the case, and the RB18 was one of the best cars that we have seen on the grid. But in today's video, we're going to take a quick look into the RB18 and what the car actually was like with its positives and negatives, and also have a look into what the 2023 Challenger, the RB19, will look like. Let's get right into it. Red Bull and Max Verstappen showed their hand in 2022 as a force to be reckoned with, and how they were here to stay. Max took home a record-breaking 15 wins and a single season, while Sergio Perez took home 2 wins, meaning that Red Bull won 17 of the 22 races, something that we have never seen before. Even when Mercedes were dominating for all of those years, they could not get close to being this dominant within a season. However, it was not perfect at all for Red Bull, as they had a very poor start to the season due to their reliability and the car pretty much being too heavy, which affected its pace. In the first round in Bahrain, it was clear that they were the second quickest team behind Ferrari, but there was not too much in it, to the point where Red Bull would worry that they were not going to win a race for the whole season. They also had a double DNF towards the end of the race, which was very worrying for Red Bull, as they were not the quickest car, and if they wanted any chance of winning a championship, they would have to have a reliable car. They would also have another mechanical DNF in the third round in Australia with Max Verstappen, and at this point he was more than 40 points behind the championship leader in Charles Leclerc. Many people believed that the championship was over and it was Ferrari's to lose. However, Red Bull believed that they had found the issue that was causing them not to finish races, and they were going to upgrade the car to make it a lot lighter. And they weren't lying, as from the third race until the final race in Abu Dhabi, Red Bull would only lose 3 races in Austria, Silverstone and Brazil, showing that they had the pace now that they had made the car a lot lighter, and they were now the quickest team on the grid, and it was clear to see. Furthermore, Max Verstappen would not have any more mechanical failures compared to Ferrari, who had had several, making the Red Bull walk away with both the championships with little challenge from other teams. Red Bull had made a dominant car with the RB18, and it was not even close to how it performed in races. The car was not the best at qualifying, with Ferrari actually taking home more pole positions throughout the season, but the car really did come to life in the races. This was down to a number of reasons, but one of these was the tyre wear on the car compared to their closest rivals, Ferrari. There was a very famous picture that came out after the Japanese Grand Prix that showed how Verstappen's tyres looked brand new after 20 or so laps compared to Leclerc's, which looked like they've been through 40 laps. There was a clear difference in how the cars reacted to the tyre. This meant that Red Bull was able to do much longer stints whilst keeping a consistent pace, and Max showed this in Mexico when he would set consistent lap times in the 1 minute 22 second threshold for almost all of the race. This showed how the RB18 was so good at making sure that its tyres had little wear, so they could have consistent stints, and this provided them just to run away with the races. Another big talking point of the RB18 was that it was the only car on the grid not to experience any porpoising, which contributed to them having an amazing straight line speed compared to the rest, and this allowed them to overtake anyone from very far back, which Verstappen did at the Championship of the Americas on Lewis Hamilton. To be honest, there's no real negatives to the RB18 other than the little issues that it had at the start of the season. It was almost the perfect Formula 1 car that was in the hands of Max Verstappen, who is at the peak of his powers and was able to extract maximum performance from the car. What do you think of the RB18? Was it the best car that we have ever seen in Formula 1? Or was there one more that was more dominant that comes to mind? Let us know in the comments below. Now, onto the real reason you clicked on this video, and this is, of course, a look inside the RB19. Of course, this is all speculation and what we think the car may be, as we will not know until we get to see the pre-season testing about how the car will look and perform, of course. One thing that is certain to happen is Red Bull will probably keep the exact same livery that they had in 2022 and many previous years before this. The livery is seen as iconic for Red Bull and their car is very recognisable. However, it is possible that it may change, but it is more than likely that they will keep the same livery that we have seen for all of these years in the turbo hybrid era. The RB19 will have a lot of influence from the mastermind Adrian Newey, who is a perfectionist when it comes to aerodynamics. So when we get to see the car in action for the first time, it is more than possible that the car will be very different from the other teams and will have a lot of innovations on it that may not be visible on the car at first. The floor of the RB18 was brilliant in providing pace, but also having high downforce at the exact same time it is likely to stay with the RB19. We know that due to Red Bull finishing first in the Constructors' Championship, they will have 70% CFD and the wind tunnel time, but it would also have a further 10% deduction on that due to the fine of breaking the cost cap in 2021, meaning they will have 63% of the allocated time. This is not a lot for the team, so they must use this wisely to make sure that they dominate for many years to come. They must also address a few issues, and one of these is surrounding the fuel pump issue that caused them to have 3 DNFs at the start of the 22 season. This is so that they, of course, finish every race possible so they have a better chance to win the championship. If they did not have those DNFs at the start of the season, they could have walked away with the championship even easier than they already did. The RB18 was almost a perfect car, so there is not much that they need to change. But with Ferrari and Mercedes breathing down their backs and wanting to come back in 2023 with a bang, Red Bull has to be on their toes with the RB19. They cannot afford to become complacent with the development of the car, as if they do, they could easily fall down the pack and if they fail to build on what was already a very good car. But we don't have to wait for too long until we actually get a look at the RB19 will be. Will it be another RB18 and another dominant car to blow everyone away? Or will they go back to only winning 1 or 2 races in the season? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and it would mean a lot if you could like and subscribe to the channel for even more awesome Formula 1 content.